Welcome everyone! For the ones of you who don't know me yet, my name is Zucconi. I'm a lecturer in artificial intelligence and a science communicator. And if this is the first time you're watching, welcome to Gamedev Graveyard. This is the weekly show where we talk about games, prototypes, postmortems, and everything that is somehow related to the world of game development. Before we start, and before I announce the guest, that probably you know already who they are, because probably you've seen the title, but let's pretend it's a surprise. So YouTube is telling me that 80% of people do not subscribe. So if you're watching and you not subscribe, but you like the content that I'm making, or you think you might like this sort of podcast slash interview slash video, I guess, then feel free to subscribe. I think it really helps the channel to grow, but also it helps YouTube to suggesting content to more people. I mean, you can see it. I have a ring light, so I'm a proper YouTuber. Come on, help me here. We need some help. Now, with that being said, tonight or today, depending where you're watching, where you're from, it's going to be a relaxed conversation, but we might talk about things that maybe some people might find triggering. So if you think that could be the case, you know, you're warned. So you never know. So sometimes we have relaxed chat. Maybe tonight we might talk a few topics that some might not find that relaxing, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Now, so who's the guest? Is Anisa Sanusi. She's a UI and UX designer, and she's the founder of Limit Break, which is a mentorship program for underrepresented genders in the game industry. And if you have been following this channel, you might have seen her already. I mean, you probably know her already, but she's actually on another video from the Games Library Night, which is an event that Federico Fascia and I run at Goldsmith University, where I work, where I teach. We invited cool folks from the game industry, and she was actually one of the folks invited. Maybe 1 year ago, 2 years ago? I don't remember. I've done too many events. I don't remember anymore. Maybe she remembers. We'll ask her. But with that being said, let me say hello. Let me introduce you to Anissa. Hello, Anissa. How are you doing?
Hi. Hello. How are you doing?
So, as I was saying, I love your background. He has that YouTube vibe. It's perfection.
Cozy.
It's so cozy.
It's autumn now. You know, you just want to curl up in a blanket with a hot water bottle and just chill. You know, if it's raining outside, perfect. Put some music on with a book.
I should have like a hot tea, you know, and sort of sipping.
Ooh, I have a hot tea right here, so I'm just I am ready.
Perfection. It's perfection. I'm so underprepared for these, you know, like. But also, like, I'm living with 100 objects, so I'm literally like, I have nothing in the background because I have nothing to put in the background. But
well, it's minimalist, right? So it works.
It works. So, with that being said, do you want to introduce yourself for the people that don't know you yet?
Oh boy. Hi. So my name's Anissa, and in my day job in the games industry, I do UI UX. Currently working on a PC game, and in my free time, I run an organization called Limit Break Mentorship. Yay! So Limit Break is a mentorship program that is aimed at developers or game developers or people who want to get into game development for underrepresented genders in the UK games industry. So we're in our second year. We launched last year for the first time, and we actually just started off in London because, you know, it was just a scope thing. I wanted it to be small and local and easy. But this year, though, because of, I don't know, this teeny tiny thing called coronavirus. Oh my God. Because of that little thing, I couldn't really do our usual program because I wanted people to meet up in person. We'd have events and stuff. But this year, though, we just went fully remote. And if you're fully remote, that means anybody in the UK can join. Well, anybody in the underrepresented genders group.
So you mentioned the fact that, of course, the current situation has affected the program. But how does it work usually? How has it been working for the past couple of years before the apocalypse hits us?
It's really to that point, yeah. I think it's really interesting when people think Limit Break is this really big organization with like, we call it a huge team and it's been going on for ages when it's really just been like not that long. So we're still kind of like trying to figure it out. And I think moving forward, we're just going to be changing up the formula as even the application process and everything in between. We're going to keep trying something new, something better, something easier. But just to answer the question, last year it was everyone. Basically, what happens is this: I have a website, limitbreak.co.uk, and you go up to it, and then you can apply as a mentor or a mentee. So there is like for a mentee, like if you're currently working in the UK games industry, no matter what level you are, or someone who's already working and wants to break into it, into the industry, then you can apply as a mentee. But for a mentor, I do allow people who are not underrepresented genders to be mentors, because there's just an imbalance in that, what do you call it, like the amount of people. So if you want to apply as a mentor, I think the limit that I put in is that I want you to have minimum 5 years experience in industry, or at least 5 years working experience, because I'm all up for like people mentoring students or younger people, but like if a lot of people, if a lot of mentees are like juniors or fresh graduates or people who are like first year of of entering the industry, I want their mentors to at least been through it. And at 5 years is a good time, actually, I would say. But yeah, so once you apply, ooh, I need to think about because usually the application process happens in like April and it's like what, October now. So like my brain's like, what happens? Yeah, stress on my part. So what happens is that you would fill in a form about yourself, what your goals are, what you want to do, what you want to achieve, and then a mentor will also, kind of like tell a little bit about themselves, like their journey, like what they're good at, their areas of expertise, as I call it. And then I try to put the two together, kind of like if I have like a junior artist, who wants a more senior artist to help them out with things, then I would try to put them together like that. But there's a lot of people who are similar to people from outside of games who wants to get into industry, or people who are like, say, people who used to be producers and they want to go, say, into narrative, then I'll match them with narrative designers, So it's really depending on what they want to do, what they want to achieve. And I try my best to hopefully, well, the thing is, it's still paper application, so I don't see anybody in person, as in I don't know. It's still a gamble if the connections, if the pairings would work out. But in Limit Break, it's quite loose in a sense that like you're not, there is a level of commitment that we expect, but you're not like locked into meeting someone you're not into. It's a relationship that I would like them to try and build together. And like if after a few months, let's say, if life happens, plans change, or like maybe they just got too busy, or like other commitments come up, or they think it's not working out with mentors, then they're allowed to just drop out. It's fine. Like I always say, you're always welcome. It's an open door policy. Like you're always welcome to try again next year, or even like a few weeks later if you change your mind.
It's very interesting because we have something not the same but similar. Both at LCC where I was working before and at Goldsmith where I'm working now. But basically we have an internship sort of program where students they can find an internship, a placement in the job industry. And it's very interesting what you said about the fact that that the connection doesn't always work, because especially when those students have little to no experience, they cannot afford to get the position they want. Often they have to settle for what they can get, especially now.
Yeah.
What I find interesting is that even when the students don't find something that matches their expectations, usually the vast majority still has a very say useful experience, is a very rewarding experience one way or another. It's very educational one way or another, even if it's not maybe the position they wanted, because if they have no experience, they usually see what the industry is like, even if not from the position that they would have preferred, but it's a
Yeah.
starting. And as long as there's no drama, as long as nothing goes bad, even if the internship is not maybe necessarily something they 100% like, I mean, it's work.
Yeah.
If you like 100%, it would could be a hobby, right?
Yeah, I remember back in university when I was in uni, I went to Teesside University, NMX represent, whee! I think NMX was happening a few weeks ago. Anyway, off topic. Back in university, I wasn't a sandwich course student. I guess sandwich course is what they call it when you do like 2 years and then you do like 1 year in industry and then you do your final year again. Um, and I remember during my final year, there's those students who left and then came back to do their final year. They're like slightly older and they're always like so wise. You're like, oh wow, you have a job in the industry. Wow. Oh my gosh. And I remember even the lecturers were making them into like a big deal. It's kind of like, yeah, so our student got chosen for internships at Ubisoft. Yeah. And I'm just like, wow, starry-eyed, Ubisoft. Now I'm just like, Ubisoft. Oh my God, I'm sorry, Ubisoft. Anyway, um,
Ubisoft, if you're watching, Mr. Ubisoft, if you're watching, close now.
I'm sure they're working very hard. I mean, you can't
Literally.
paint you can't paint an entire company with the same brush. But anyway, yeah. So I remember our lecturers were like saying how those students are a little bit, how you say, they're like a different flavor, like but they've been through a year's worth of a work environment, and as you say, it's exactly that kind of experience where like you just don't get it anywhere else, especially university. My God, can you remember our university days? I would just wake up at like 2 p.m. and then get to class by 2:30 or whatever. But when you're at work, you're like, you got schedule, you gotta, you have other people to report to, da 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 da. It really builds into you a sense of discipline. And now that, you kind of seen how, even if what you're doing now, let's say it's not like a big thing in like the project that you're working at, it's the experience of how to talk to managers, of how to ask questions, of how seeing how a project works from the inside, because each company works extremely differently. And I would say that's exactly the same with like Limit Break, especially if even in between companies. Okay, so there's the other thing for Limit Break is that I always try to match people who are from different companies. Like if they're in the same company, I'll be like, nah, don't, you don't need that. Like you can literally just talk to the person anyway. But even then, like they just learn so much in a sense that like, I do tell them like, like don't share NDA stuff. Obviously be respectful of that. Sometimes we have a friendly way. But mostly though, it's like learning, oh, in my company we did this, and then you can see like, oh, okay, it's not like my company's better because we're doing it like this. More like, oh, you can see like, oh, maybe that method and this method, if do pick and choose what is the best you think is the best way to like handle your specific situation. I think during Corona specifically, a lot of companies have been struggling trying to adapt to working from home and stuff, and all the remote companies are like, oh, we've been doing it since 5 years ago. This is how you remote work, that kind of stuff. uh, but anyway,
The joy of the situations.
and
I,
now
I find it quite interesting because I think that leaving the college with
mhm,
a lot of knowledge is really good. But if you have a lot of knowledge and a good degree, but you have no professional experience, it's hard. And it's even worse if you leave with no professional experience and your only understanding of the environment is in the game, the movie, or the Devil Wears Prada, or some shit like that, where you sort of don't understand the dynamics of the environments, and especially people that um, might not have a position before, they often don't know what is a good deal and what is a bad deal. And I've seen
yeah.
these with a lot of friends that are indies. I had my indie past. Now I identify more as rogue. So, sort of the next
Like a
step.
D&D character.
Yeah, exactly. I see that often they get, oh, this company offered me this publisher offered me this, and I was like, that's a bad deal. But because
Yeah.
you don't know what you can ask for, or you don't
Yep.
know how much money you can
Yep.
get, or you
Yep.
don't know what hours you can work or what things are professional and what things are not professional to ask. And so I think
Yeah.
that helping people to understand, to get started in an industry, it is quite important because there's a lot of, I don't know if it's correct to say, but I think the game industry is built on dreams. Or, I mean, uh, no, it's built on money, of course, but there's a lot of
Dreams
people,
of money. Built
yeah,
on dreams of money.
there's a lot of people that because they grew up with games, they
Mhm.
have this dream of becoming developers, right? And it's very dangerous because the moment you have a dream, you have a weakness.
So, okay. Before I came to the UK, I went to animation school. So I trained as an animator, 2D animation specifically. And our lecturer, he's one of the better lecturers I've had in my lifetime. And I remember a question he was asking us like, "What industry do you think you're working in? You know, or want to work in?" And we were just like, "What do you mean, what industry? Animation, duh." You know, like the smug little shits that we were. But he was like, entertainment industry. That's what animation is, entertainment. So just like theater, or the movies, film, books, TV, it's the entertainment industry. And all of you are basically trying to be superstars, And that's part of the allure, isn't it? Like if you think about games, what do you think of? It's like, oh, I want to be as big as the person who made Mario, or like Kojima. Oh my God, Kojima, like, okay, cool. But does that what that entails is that there's this kind of layer of not just skill, but also branding and how personable you are, like how well known, how famous you are, and things like that. And there you go. So exactly. So it's like it's always the hustle, right? Like the more well known you are, like can you like even within indies, people just like, oh, I know this indie guy, or like oh, he was in that movie, or he made this famous game, blah blah blah. If you tell people, oh, I make games, what is the first thing they say? Have you made anything I've played? And I'm just like, probably not, dude. Probably
Like,
not.
unlikely, statistically unlikely.
Exactly. So it's like you said, because of that, it is a bit of a like, people were saying this is your dream job or like the dream industry and stuff. And it's 50-50. You get like the best of people joining in because obviously it's out of passion. It's like a very specific calling. Like this is what I want to do. I want to, as a kid, I used to play X, Y, and Z, blah blah blah, and just like I want to be that person who makes a game that the next game developer is going to grow up wishing they made. Funny thing, these days, I'm always wishing I made the games that my friends make because I'm seeing them like, hey, we've released this, we've released that. And I was like, ah, bitch, I wish I made that. Fucking hell. That kind of stuff.
They're like,
Um,
oh, I love the game. And
yeah,
then,
it's so nice. Like when you like again, like Devil Was Pride was like, ugh, I hate this, but also I love it. I hate it.
and then you go on Steam, you're fat.
Oh shit, have you been looking at my Steam account? Oh my god.
Oh my god. So we have a couple of messages already in the chat. We have Sean Spalding. Hi Sean, saying Anisa Sa nerdsy. And
Sean and I went to the same university way back when, and Sean was a nerd back then and still is now. I don't
well,
wish I made your game, Sean. Your game's stupid.
we all are, aren't we? So there's also Tim. Hi Tim. Asking a question that I think might be relevant to what we were saying. So Tim is saying a question for Anissa. Evening. No, that's not a question. Interested by your recent tweet on idolization. Did I pronounce it correctly? Is meeting your heroes worth it? I have so much to say
Yes.
about this.
I would say yes, because two things could happen, right? Like, number one, they're a nice person, and you're just like, fuck yeah, I like this person, and I like their games. I'm gonna spend more money on their merchandise because they're cool. Second thing that's gonna happen, they're a massive fucking dick. Just like, all right, I'm just gonna spend money elsewhere. And that's it, really. I think at least that's how I've been doing things. To my like, okay, so there's always a reason why I tweet certain things. For this one, it was just kind of like a friend of mine came to visit, and we talked about our past. She and we met over a radio show, and this was back before I was doing anything. Like I was literally just like a young girl who's doing like, I make UI. Let's talk about UI, guys. Anybody likes UI? Anybody? That kind of stuff. So like this girl, she's already a well-known musician and stuff. And she was like, "Oh, you're cool. Let's hang out. Let's chat." And after the radio show, we went off to the pub and had some drinks and just chilled out. And we've just been friends ever since. And a lot of like this kind of story where I'm like, "Hey, I like the thing that you do, and I like the thing that you do. Let's go hang. Let's be friends." That kind of stuff. Those are the relationship that has helped me through so much in the last few years. Like obviously, when you're in working for so many years, you're going to struggle. You're going to have like peaks and valleys of mood, successes, failures, and all that jazz. I've just realized like the people that I used to look up to, like really look up to, and I was just like every time I meet them, there's this kind of feeling of like, oh my god, you're paying attention to me, to little old me. Oh my god, oh my god, that kind of thing. And then you hang out with them a little bit more, and it's like they feed off of this energy of bright-eyed young people being like, wow, you're so cool. Like you're like, oh my god, you're my idol. Da 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 da. And that is so dangerous because that's when you get power imbalances in work relationships, relationships, any that kind of thing. That's why I feel like, damn it, Anissa, I wish like you just chill the fuck out, just be cool, damn it. And it's, I would say like even in the, just to tie it back to mentorship, even with my own mentors, I give everybody like a little booklet of like how to become a mentor. In one of the bits, I actually tell them like I am like a little bullet point. I tell them you have to be very mindful about the power imbalance of your relationship. Like these people by default already look up to you. You need to be I want you to be casual. I want you to make them feel safe. And if they don't feel safe, then that's like a signifier of something bigger. Maybe the other thing is that I don't think most of these people do it on purpose. Like they don't realize they're being a bit, like nobody thinks they're the villain, right? Everyone is in their own main story, and they're the main character in their movie. So they're like, I'm not doing anything wrong, you're just blah, blah, blah. It's not my fault. Like you're falling head over heels for me, that kind of stuff. But also like have some fucking self-awareness,
No, I think you hit all the right spot. I think for me the problem is idolizing people in the first place, because why are you idolizing someone? Because they made a game that you liked, but then you like the game, you don't like the person. And doing that sort of transition where because I like the stuff you do, then I automatically like you. I think it's a very, I mean, it's human nature, but it's also very, very dangerous. And the same applies with people online. The people you see online, you only see a very small fraction of what they do. It could be tweets. For example, people could see the work you're doing and they could see that's Anissa. And instead it's a very part of you. People can see what I do and it's a very part of me. It's a very small part of me. It's very dangerous in that sense. Because you're projecting your expectation onto people, and it can be very heavy for those people as well, that they feel the pressure to be what people imagine them to be, and it can go in many different ways. It can go really nice, or it can become a trap, in which they get stuck into this thing where they have to say the thing that people expect them to say, or they feel pressure on not saying certain things. It can be very dangerous, and it is a lot of pressure also, because often what happens is that when people do something that maybe you don't expect, you say, oh, how could they do that? And it's like, this is all in your head, this entire situation is all in your head, people.
Exactly.
And
there's a word for this, the parasocial relationship, right? Like, that is literally it. And it happens at any scale. It obviously happens with more famous people, especially let's say YouTuber who've like 1 million subscribers and stuff, and because they are so candid and so personable on camera, it's still a one-way relationship where you're watching them but they have no idea who you are. it's the same in the games industry as well. Like, again, we play their games. We just feel this connection of like, oh wow, this person made this game. This is, something that is great that happens in it. You're just thinking, oh, this is genius. This person's is genius. I wish I could do this. You know what? Credit where credit is due. If something is great, sure, that's great. But when you go up to them, yeah, so that's like, I'm not saying, if you go up to someone, don't say, hey, good game. Don't say like, yo, your game's shit. No, don't do that, obviously. Common sense, right? But like, there is a certain parasocial relationship a lot of people have, especially on Twitter. And Twitter has been a huge part of my life, at least in the last 5 years, only because it's so connected to the games industry. That's where a lot of game devs hang out. And I do owe a lot of the things that I do now because of Twitter, because I just don't fucking shut up about things. It has worked both in favor and against me. But it also means that when people see my tweets or in my talks and stuff, it's still kind of a one way as well, in a sense that like I don't know 98% of the people that I tweet to online, and I try to be polite, but sometimes there are days when I get just too many like annoying messages, and then I end up being a little bit rude to one person, and they're just like, oh gosh, she's such a bitch. I was like, well, number one, you're not wrong.
That's a real Anissa.
Number two, I'm actually a bitch all the time, so shame on you for thinking I'm a nice person. Yeah, so like it builds up on the it's again with like just idolizing people. You don't know what they're like in person. You don't know what they're like, behind closed doors and stuff. And I've had the pleasure and pain of seeing a glimpse of that with some people. I've built some good relationship with people through Twitter. And we take it offline. We meet up in person, and that's great. Whereas some people, it goes the other way, and you're just like, well, but at the same time, it's like, that's the nature of human beings. Like, nobody is 100% good or bad. Unless, I was going to get political again, but, unless you wish death on other people, like, through voting for the wrong parties, then you're a bad person.
Oh, God.
Oops. But otherwise, though, it's like, people make mistakes. I know I'm kind of like, to those who are listening right now, I apologize that like the conversation is kind of jumping left, right, and center and everywhere. But that's kind of where the beauty of people are, like I love it when I meet somebody and they're actually really fucking nice, or or you meet somebody and it turns out that they're actually a lot funnier in person, or some people are just a bit of a dick and you're just like, yeah, okay, I'm just gonna stop buying your shit, easy.
That's I think that could be a good policy. Now, something that I've noticed, like I've been in the game industry for a long time, and 10 years ish.
Okay, boomer.
I'm old. Well, I've been making game for 20. Excuse me. But and I had I think the privilege of meeting people that were on the whole spectrum of fame, I would say. Not Lady Gaga fame, but I think I had the chance to talk to a lot of people. And something I've noticed that for me makes a big difference is when you treat them as if they were not famous. Because sometimes, if they're really famous, they sometimes expect to be super, oh my god, I love your stuff, oh my god, that kind of groupie, that kind of sort of idolization element. And instead, if you're like, what do you want from me? Excuse me. And I have to say, once I did this very intentionally, where I approached someone that is very, very well known. I would say you can't get more well known than that. And
you met Jesus?
Well. And, in the game industry, I don't think he made games, so no. I said Jesus, man. No, it's not. And I was like, oh, can I have a picture? And instead of getting a picture with them, I give you my phone for them to take a picture of me and someone else. And I did that so shamelessly and so intentional. I was like, oh, thank you. And they were shocked. They were absolutely shocked. and
Oh
I
my
will keep
God.
this memory in my heart forever.
That's amazing. That is quite the flex. I'm not fucking hell. I've met a few very well-known people before, and I'll be honest, like I know I'm being all like don't idolize people, da da da, but like I also go up and just go full on fangirl mode because like you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to see you again, so I'm just gonna fucking fangirl the shit out of you right now. And more often than not, they're kind of cool.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I remember one time I was chatting with Mike Beatle, which he has a sort of like personal sort of idolization. You know, his persona is almost legendary on some part of the internet. You know, for good or for bad. You know, it's and it's part of his business, I guess. It's part of his public image. And I was talking to him at Res, maybe a tobacco dog in London, and a kid came to him with a game design document where he was making this game about a toilet roll, a toilet paper roll, and he wanted to pitch his idea to him, and he gave to him this game design document that was handwritten, and I was like, oh my God, this is so sweet.
Oh my God, that is so cute.
And I
Oh,
think that
jeez.
is the most it was the most genuine level of
Oh my God. If that
realization
happened
I've
to me,
seen.
I would just start crying.
But also,
Oh,
it sort of happens to me as well. But I remember the first game
just
event.
flexing,
Sorry?
just flexing, just humble bragging. It happens to me too. Yeah.
Oh, no. In the sense that I'm the groupie.
That's a little kid coming to you. Oh my God,
Well,
Alan.
one time I was waiting for the light to go green, and someone recognized me while I was waiting, and I was
Wow.
like, "Yes, it's me. It's alanzucconi.com."
Do you just say that every time?
I say
Alan's
that
just
every
gonna
time.
talk.
But uh, no, one time the first game event I ever did was back when Res was in Birmingham, so it was years and years ago, and I saw Worms, the actual Worms from Worms Armageddon. You know, the sort of
Yeah, yeah.
the
The worm character.
the worm, and I was like, worm, and I went completely crazy, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Wow. Worms, eh? Okay, I'm not here to judge. I'm like, oh, that's cute. Well done.
I grew up with that, so that was my
Mm.
thing. But back to the topic. So
What were we talking about?
I don't even know. So we have a comment from Ian Masters say totally applying to be a mentor then, which I think it's kind of cool that you have that. So Ian, go on if you can. So we have a message from Federico Fascia. Hi Fede, saying what would you say is the single most important characteristic of a good mentor? So Ian, listen, listen what Anisa has to say about this.
Um, Ooh, this is a big question because I have to just have like one characteristic. That's kind of funny.
So
So I
let's
would,
relax it. What are the most
yeah.
important
So okay,
characteristics?
okay. So I don't know if I should be the one to say this because like I'm obviously going to be biased, biased towards my mentors because they're all amazing. They're all fucking amazing, actually. I would say it's kind of funny. Okay, so it's going to be a bit ironic. The best mentors are the people who don't think they can mentor, and the people who are way too enthusiastic about being like I know everything, I can teach you, like learn from me. That's the kind of like I would say. What's the word? There's a certain arrogance to it, which I would say would make you a bad mentor. There has been cases, not with Limit Break, thankfully, but with other people that I've spoken to, who has said like, yeah, I used to have this guy who, would call himself my mentor and stuff, but I just felt like unsafe with him, or it felt like he was just like trying to feel good about himself that he knows all these things and he's parting his wisdom in a very arrogant way, and that's not helpful to me. That would just make things much worse for the mentee. And a lot of the mentors who I would say are the best have a genuine interest in the progress of their mentee. So like with Limit Break, we have a Slack channel where you can kind of come in and ask general questions to other mentors as well. And then you get like, I love it when these happen because like you get like 7, 8, or 9 people just piling in with their unique like approach to the situation. And every time I read it, I'm like, oh fucking hell, you're smart. Oh no, that's also smart. Oh, but this is good. And I'm just like, I'm learning, you know? And so these are the people, like the people who are genuinely just wanting to help other people. And to be honest, that's kind of why I started Limit Break. I just wanted to help other people. I wish Limit Break was around when I was younger, because I had a lot of issues in the games industry. Some of it is systemic, some of it is me, because like I'm as a younger developer. Oh my god, I was terrible. I still think I'm slightly terrible now, but like I wish I had somebody who had an interest in me in like a mentory, interested way, not like trying to date me kind of way. More like, hey, so that's like segueing into this. That's the other thing where like a lot of women by default is suspicious of people if are they actually interested in me as a person or in my work, or are you just trying to get into my pants, that has happened so often and it's tiring. Like that's also part of the reason why Limit Break works, is because from the get-go this is very much a mentor-mentee relationship, and what we want to do is help you with your career progress, in your skill sets and like anything else, and like building confidence, like take away that worry of like, can I trust this person, or like, can I blah 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 blah, that kind of stuff. Just take that out of the picture and just head down and do your thing. Like we just want to make games. How hard is that, like, without worrying about all these other things? In an ideal world, I don't need to start Limit Break. Like people can just like get help from anyone, that's what I want. And we don't have harassment, we don't have we don't have this and that, like prejudices or biases and things like that. But again, we're not in an ideal world, so we kind of have to figure it out as we go along. But yeah, I would say like the most genuine mentors, just going back to that question, like what, 20 minutes ago, the best mentors tend to be the ones who are just like quite humble, like they don't have an agenda of their own, or like all they want to do is just help the person, because you know what, they've had people help them, or they wish that someone would help them, and they just want to see other people succeed. Like it's a village, it's a village. I mean, like it takes a village basically, and we're all in this together. It's not, I hate the idea of game development as like seen as a very competitive thing. Like selling your game is competitive for sure, but ultimately though, if it's like learning the craft or breaking into it or just wanting to do the thing that you want to do, again, dream industry, dream job, completely fine. I think everyone should have dreams, but everyone should have, shouldn't have barriers towards their dreams. Like, other, I was gonna say like what, sexism, racism, things like that, and like those barriers shouldn't be there. The barriers should just be like skill and time and putting in the work, because the most hardworking people, meritocracy, you would think that's it, like, that's the case, but it's not. There's so many other things that like, invisible things that sets a lot of people back and push other people forward. And I just want a level playing field for everybody.
It's interesting because basically what I'm getting from this is that, first of all, being a mentor is not about you. It's about the other person. So
Exactly.
maybe there should be being a mentor is about it. It's not about you. The new slogan of
of Zucconi.com. Being a mentor is not about you.
Procedurally generated slogans, But also, you mentioned something really, really interesting, and this could be a rabbit hole where we never comes out. So if we ended up in the rabbit hole, people stop us. So before that, we have a message from Level Up Lauren sending you so much love, Anissa. Love received.
Thank you.
I mean, she didn't send it to me, but
there's a lot of love for everybody. Don't worry.
Is the fact that, as I said, people should be judged based on, it should be some level of meritocratic assessment in people. And this is really tricky because very often meritocracy is also a proxy for socioeconomic status, because the people that are good often are the people that have more experience, and the people that have more experience often they have it because they started with a better education, which means more money. But lots of love for everyone, says Lauren. Thank you. And often a lot of people that are from underrepresented groups, they might not have the same chance of attending college, for example. So you can't be, you can be, but it's harder to be a good programmer if you have to teach that yourself, or if you have to work 2 shifts, at a job, and you cannot get experience. So there is this problem where a lot of people they underperform because in a way they're underrepresented, in a sense that they had less chance to access opportunities, and this is reflected early on in the places where they can study, but later on in the jobs that they can get. And of course, you ended up with this sort of barrier where you say, oh, I want only people that have this many years of experience, and this automatically might exclude women, for example, that in this industry they're a tiny bit disadvantaged. Let's go with that. So it's very easy sometimes to be a gatekeeper or to discriminate even if you don't want to. So you can unintentionally discriminate against women, for example, by asking certain things that might not automatically happen. And one field where I've done some work earlier this year was algorithmic bias, and how, for example, if you want to hire someone and you do that through an algorithm, you think that certain parameters are objective and they will remove bias. No, they won't. Because sometimes even the postcode is a proxy for your ethnical background, right?
Yeah.
So it's very easy to discriminate against people and not giving them the good chances. So paradoxically, the only way not to discriminate is to discriminate positively sometimes, in the sense that you need to find which groups require support and give them support, which is exactly the reason why, yes, technically, all lives matter, and this is understandable, but the problem is that not all lives are affected by certain problems. And this is why if you just throw money at everything, the same amount of everything, you're not solving problems. You're keeping the status quo because some groups might be more in need of that of their money. And I think that this leads to me to a very tricky question. Why is a question that, again, we could talk probably about this for like 6 hours. So let's see where this leads. But why is Limit Break? Well, so let me do a premise. I think we understand why it's not for everyone, because again, different groups have different access to stuff, to opportunities. Then my question is, why wasn't this advertised as mentorship for women only, but it's mentorship for the underrepresented genders? What does that mean for you?
So this was when I first started up Limit Break. I'm a woman. I've been going to a lot of like women in game stuff. It's like the big thing at the time. And when I first started it, I did have the choice of making it women only or femme only. The wording needed tweaking. But the thing is, I feel like non-binary people are their own category, and they're already excluded from a lot of things. Trans women, a lot of people, I would call them idiots, don't see them as women. Trans women are women, And trans men also go through a lot of bullshit in their life. Like, this kind of discrimination shouldn't happen. And that's when I was thinking, like, look, if I'm gonna speak up about if I want to do something for women, I just want to include a little bit more than just women, you know. That's when I went for underrepresented genders, and obviously, like, even the word underrepresented genders went through a lot of back and forth, you know. Like, I think it was just, I can't remember now what we're, I think we were like, we target we advertise it as gender diverse, and gender diverse just means
Everyone.
yeah, gender diverse, right? Like the diversity of genders, and that's not really useful. And I just don't want to say, I didn't want to say women and non-binary people, because that would, that kind of puts non-binary people into this circle of like women light, and they're not women light. Non-binary people are non-binary people. They're not women, you know. They're not like less womanly. Or yeah, they are like a completely different group, just as like men is different from women and from different from non-binary people, and you know, and I'm already including trans women, so it's like I remember people wondering if trans men are allowed or are included into this, and I did say like, yeah, of course, like that was like my first like like off the bat, I was like, of course you're included in this, you know. But trans men, quite a number of them, when I first started Limit Break, they were quite suspicious of Limit Break. And you know what? I think at the time I definitely reacted a little bit defensively, being all like, "Oh, how could you question me like that?" You know. But again, mentorship is not about you; it's about the people who you're trying to help, and that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to help these people. So like, if the exact people that you're trying to help are not reacting in the way that you expect them to, why is that, right? You need to really look back into like, okay, is your messaging unclear? Is, you know, is your intentions unclear? Is your like, is everything like, if you say something, what makes it true? Like, by default, people don't need to trust you. People definitely shouldn't trust me by default. And I'm saying this like clearly, like, trust me and Limit Break only if you feel like we've shown enough, you know, like that's it. Like, your safety is the number one important thing. And if you're part of a marginalized group, be it because of gender, because of race, because of X, Y, and Z, anything else, you better than most people, you know exactly like the bullshit that you are put through when, you know, that's kind of like this baiting of like, oh yeah, this is good for you, but really, is it? Like, it's kind of like where some corporate companies would slap on a pride flag onto their social medias, but then they, you know, they discriminate against actual LGBT people within the company. You know, that kind of stuff is stupid. And because of those things, people are just generally like, there's a word that is better than suspicious, but I can't remember it now. But anyway, people are just like generally distrusting of things anyway, even if it's meant to help them. And you know what? And I'm okay with that. I'm saying, let me and my mentors and my mentees and the things that we've done, let our work speak for itself. I want my mentees to speak for themselves. Every year, I say every year, it's only been 2 years. Every time I try to do like the recruitment thing, it's usually once a year around April time. So put it on your calendars. um, I never ask anybody to like tweet for me, or like, you know, I don't be like, hey, could you like talk about Limit Break or something. I kind of, you know, I'll do it from my personal account, I'll do it from the Limit Break account, you know, and any like other official routes. But like, if the mentees have something nice to say, then they always say it because they had a nice time, you know. Like, again, I want the proof to be in them, not in the PR, the social media bits of me, you know. And like, I know a lot of people equate Limit Break with me because I founded it, but again, it's the only reason I'm like on a lot of things talking about it is because I want more people to join it, and I want to have, you know, to help people out as best as I can. But like, the true, you know, the true, the meat of it is the mentees themselves. And um I hope that, like, you know, new people, anyone who hasn't heard about Limit Break, or anybody, you know, anyone who's just graduated right now, or anyone who never thought about joining games, you know, if they see Limit Break for the first time, am I compelling enough to them? Am I like, you know, hey, this is what we are, you know? if you like what you see, then you're very welcome to try. And if you don't, that's okay, because there's like so many more mentorships happening. I'm just gonna say after I started, suddenly everything else started up. I'm like, interesting. But you know what? It's good because like I like even with more people applying to Limit Break, not everybody gets accepted. Like there's just it's a numbers game. Like I always have way more mentees than I have mentors, even if some mentors take on more than one mentee. So it's good, like, and even if you don't join Limit Break and you're just like, nah, that's not for me, you go for another different mentorship, or you have the courage to even just go up to a person that you look up to and be like, hey, can you be my mentor? I really like your work. Can you teach me how how to negotiate things or blah, 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 things like that. That to me is still a positive effect, like an indirect positive effect that Limit Break has had. Even though you're not part of Limit Break, you're still doing something great. And I do believe I had to reject somebody this year, which I felt really bad. And she messaged me, she DM'd me being like, hey, I know that I didn't pass the thing, but I just wanted to say like this gave me the courage to ask somebody that I wanted to, that I've never had the courage to speak to. And I've just had a great time. So thank you for doing Limit Break. And I was like, I just like start crying. Well, I was like, oh, thank fuck, because I always I feel incredible, huge guilt every time I can't help somebody. And I know for a fact I don't run Limit Break at 100% capacity as well. What I mean by that is that I've got shit in my day job that I have to deal with. I've got shit in my personal life. I've got shit with mental health, which, if we want to go into mental health, let's do it in a bit. But lots of shit is going on, and I'm like at 60-40% capacity of being able to function. And I'm kind of like, I'm a bit like, I'm sorry, guys, can you just do it? And I'll fade to the background. I'll just not reply to emails for like a month or 2 months or 6.
Joy.
Look, I'm sorry. Still human. But also like the more people out there help each other out, then the better, Like I'm not saying I'm the only person who can help people out or things like that. Definitely not. Of all people, I shouldn't be the person doing anything. But if this sparks off like a series of other things where other people do their own thing, their own mentorship programs, or like even like internally in their own company, not even like a big organization, or even like a one-to-one thing, where I've seen people on Twitter who be like, I'm opening up mentorship slots, like apply, email me your portfolio, blah blah blah. Those things are great. So like those are the things that I want to see more of. I've been talking for ages. I'm so sorry.
No. You're here for this one. So, I can talk a lot, but when the guests have something to say, I'm always happy to.
I'm just saying this is like the first episode is going to go like what, 4 hours, 6 hours maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
Be like 4 a.m. and Ellen will be like, Anisa, we're done. Stop. Let me sleep.
Stop. So we have a message from Sally Blake saying, loving Limit Break so far. Heart emoji. It's going so well. Glitter sparkling emoji.
Oh, thank you, Sally.
So it's really great to hear that. So Anissa, you said at the beginning something that I don't think you put enough stress on it, and to me this should have been like, massive green light on it. And you said like, oh, I'm doing this and that, and then in my free time, I do this with Limit Break. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's all for free, right? So
Yes.
even the mentors that are spending significant amount of their time, they're doing it for free.
Yeah.
And you're doing it for free.
Yeah.
And I'm doing this for free. Where's my money, Anissa? I think that this already to me puts in a very different light, because if people had to pay to join, then this would create this very weird situation where it's a business. And when business is involved, then you need to get money. And this means that you need to accept people that maybe wouldn't accept, or have led into dynamics you wouldn't normally accept. And I see this a lot in academia. Not necessarily where I am now, but in previous position where I was working during my PhD, often happens that supervisor in academia, they get a lot of people, a lot of PhD students, because they get money from them. And this
Yeah.
creates all sort of disastrous, not just power dynamics, but situation where money drives the entire process. And it's not about the people, it's not about what they can make, it's about, okay, let's give me a few other minions so that I can get this done and get more money out of this.
Yeah. So, like people who are born wealthier always have a head start in everything. Like, and you know what? I would say I'm one of those people in a sense that like well, I'm not I don't ship money. My family don't have money. And not in that sense. More like my mom is an architect, and since we were born, I say we, like me and my three other siblings, she was very smart. She is a very smart lady, where she kind of started like a fund for us, so that by the time that we're able to go to university, our university's paid off, fees and things like that. And my university fees and lodging and all that was paid off, so I don't have student debt. I did not realize just how lucky I was until after I graduated. And then everybody I knew just talking about student debt. And I'm just like, what's that? That? What is that? You know? And I would just say that was like the one thing, well, one of many things, the smart things that my mom has done to make sure I had that safety net. And I'm so, so lucky to have an amazing mother who thought about this since I was born, literally, right? Most people, even with amazing mothers, if they don't have, a good paying job, what does their safety net look like? And that's completely unfair. And like this is why mentorship or any sort of like these organizations, when I see someone being like, I'll be a mentor, pay me £200, I'm like, bitch, that is like a month's worth of groceries. I ain't paying you shit. That kind of stuff. And like the thing about this is like a lot of people who are born privileged would, I don't want them to feel bad. It's more like, it's not, having privilege is not bad, but you have to like be aware of it, just keep it in check and being like, okay, what are the things in my life that has helped me to get me where I am now? Like even just the fact that I'm bilingual has helped so much. I was when my whole family, we speak both English and Malay, so coming to an English speaking university was super easy. Again, like my mom had the funds to send me overseas to England 'cause I'm from Malaysia, right? And a lot of people don't have that luxury. I know so many, like every time I go back to Malaysia, I try to go to some conferences there as well, and I always get, oh bless me, one of the times I went to Malaysia and I did a small talk, and there was this group of young boys. They were so, again, they they were so nervous meeting me, and then they were apologizing for their bad English, and they were just like, is it okay we speak Malay? And I was like, yeah, of course, I can speak Malay, it's fine, just and then they would just be like, like starry-eyed, like, oh my gosh, you went to England and you worked in the games industry. And like, I wouldn't, like, the Malaysian games industry is still budding, it's still building up, and it's getting there. And I'm so, so proud of everybody back home who's managed to break into this, because again, like, just the very fact of owning a computer is a huge boon. Like, if you don't have a computer, like, how are you gonna fucking make anything, right? That's the barrier of entry. Like, you need a computer, and most people can't even afford one, let alone like an extra two or three. Oh, this is my home computer, this is my game dev computer. Like, nobody has that, So this is why, like, if you're gonna do a mentorship program, or if you're gonna offer a mentorship, really think about why. Like, back to the people with privilege thing, it's not a bad thing. Just be aware of it. And also, I don't think people who are well off doesn't mean they deserve less help. It's more like the people who are, marginalized deserve more help. And some people, I would say, don't even like that thinking, where like, this is there's a bit of a like a savior thing here, where just like, oh, I'm gonna save you and help you, all you unfortunate people. That's not the case either. Sometimes it's all about like leveling the playing field from the get-go. And this is where voting for the right political party really matters, because like how these people get funding for stuff like food and education is if the fucking state helps them. Like there's such a segue into politics chat, but like legit, like vote for the people who are going to who will look after those who are in need, and not just fill more money into the pockets of those who are already wealthy. It's like I'm getting very emotional.
Oh, I expect we're very close to election time, so I can the anxieties of the
If I
chart.
have anybody here who's in America, please vote. Oh my
Before I
god.
register to vote.
Register to vote, please. Especially if you're young. That's the thing. Like a lot of these very, very harmful policies affect the young. And you know what? Like when you're young, that is the most critical time of your life. Like people spend decades trying to undo the harm that they went through their childhood, like a lot of again, people who are amazing at what they do in their mid 20s had practice since they were like 10 years old or 15 years old. Why? Because they don't have to fucking worry about
Surviving.
saving money. Yeah. So it's like, anyway, if mentorship is meant to break down barriers, charging people for that is a barrier. And I just don't believe that you should do it, which is why like Limit Break is and always will be free. It's at the back of my free time. I don't get paid for it. I have asked for sponsorship before, and I'm very bad at doing it. As in, like, I get really shy, and I get like, oh, I'm really sorry. Can I have like a few £100s to pay for this? But like, it costs me, like at the moment it's costing me like stuff like websites or just paying, because like I do have people taking photographs of our events and doing video editing. I pay those people with the sponsorship money that comes in. I was like, this is your labor, thank you so much, here you go. And sometimes when I feel like, that's the other thing, like sometimes I feel so bad about asking for help, like people's free time, that I end up doing a lot of that work on myself, and then I get tired and I'm just like, this is like shaved off 10 years of my life now, just the stress of it. But every so often I'll see somebody say something nice about Limit Break, or so I'll see someone get their first job, or I see someone like a success story somewhere. Like I don't want to take credit, it's all them, but it makes it worth it.
I think you hit the right point. So we have a couple of messages. One from Naomi saying, "I would love to shit money. I have IBS. I would love to." And if young people all voted, they would decide the result of the election. Well, I've been very disappointed because we were saying this about millennials, but apparently millennials just eat avocados and don't vote, or maybe they voted something that didn't help them getting more avocados. Let's go on that. And now we should say, Anisa, please take credit.
It's all of them, all of them. All I did was just connect them to people that would listen to them. Like even then, it's like the mentors themselves are doing the work. So, like I just want people to have a nice time. Like just do your job and have fun.
So Eric is asking, are there donation options?
Oh.
So send them to me, and I will keep them safe until Anissa has the has the fund.
There will be, not right now, because there's a few things. Okay, so Limit Break has to be registered as a company, as a community interest company, so as a CIC, which it basically means we're a nonprofit, and that any money that we get will go straight back into running the organization. And also, like last year, half of the sponsors would give me money straight to my personal account, which is a bit iffy actually. Even I'm just like, ooh, maybe I should like get a proper account. And the other half would just pay for like event hire and like snacks and food straight to like the vendors and things like that. So I've kind of avoided having a Limit Break account. But with running the second year, I'm just like, oh no, I procrastinated this too much, I need to actually do it. So I am in touch with an accountant. We're gonna have a Limit Break account startup, then you can send some donations and I'll be like, yay. because it is very like, this is where I'm kind of exposing myself a little bit. I'm not the best, the most organized person in the world. So Limit Break is actually costing me a lot to just keep it up and running right now. And the fact that 2020 has been such a year, oh my God. It means a lot of these things that I've had planned kind of just fell to the wayside. So, but the thing is, it's getting there. I have somebody in one of my mentors has been kind of offering help, and they're just like, "Oh, I've set up this up before. I can just connect you to this accountant that I'm using." I was like, "Oh my God, thank you." So like, yes, it's getting there. When there is, you can you can definitely, sorry, I was just reading the chat there. You can definitely give some donations when I'm ready to. Also, like, I just feel, again, I just feel really bad asking for money. I feel awful.
So I need a new accountant. So please, Anissa, let me know if your account, my accountant is driving me fucking crazy. Trust me, I've
Oh my
lost.
God.
I know when you
This
mentioned we need to make a company, I was like, I have a company and it's I genuinely it's the things that is stressing me the most, more than the pandemic, is doing tax returns.
Oh my God, yes, that's the thing. That's the other thing. I was like, huh, but Mr. Government, sir, taxes. I'm not making money. Oh no. So it's that kind of stuff. Again, like the thing with this mentorship program is that it from the outside it looks quite official and like big and stuff, which like that's great. I branded it quite well. Yay, go person, Isa, good job. But underneath it all, like I had to learn on the go. What does it mean to start something? Like a whole fucking organization. When I started out, I had like a Google Doc, a sheet, and that's it. And like I just have people's like entries in like a single Excel sheet, and I would do everything by hand, like putting in data and stuff like that, until like one day my programmer friend saw me doing like, Anissa, why are you copying pasting things like line by line? Like we can make functions in Excel. I'm like, funk what? Functions. You can make like food and music. And then he was like, oh, he took the laptop from me and just started tuck, 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 tuck. And it's like, again, I'm like, didn't know that was a thing. And then this whole accountant thing is also a whole other like thing. So it's like, it's a whole like, I'm 30. I'm still learning how to do shit, Like, even though people know me for Limit Break, I had no fucking idea what I'm doing. And I'm learning, and that's the important thing. And you know what? If you guys join me next year, it'll be so much better than like last year or this year, because I'll be better at it next year, I hope. Please
So
pray for me.
maybe next year we can talk about taxes. An entire episode of like corporation tax and refunds and credit notes.
Oh my God. So like, even just finding a fucking accountant, there was one guy who was just like, who laughed at us. And I was like, so this my one of my mentors who did this, and he was just like, yeah, dude was so rude. I was like, why would he laugh? And it's like, they was like, do you know who we are? We're the accountants for the biggest charities in all of England. We are not free. We're not a charity. We're accountants for charities. I'm like, all right, fuck those guys then. I was like, this is what I mean. Like, this is why, like, if you're suspicious of any like organization that is meant to help, like, this is why, like, genuinely be suspicious. Make sure that like, make them earn your trust. Just like how I will always constantly be working to earn your trust, and I know how easily it is, so quick to lose that trust, especially in the day and age of like people getting cancelled. Like, I do think women get cancelled way more than men. We just don't call it cancelled, we call it systematic sexism. Anyway, it's just shit like that, where I'm just like, look, judge me based on my actions. Keep me in check, keep everybody in check.
So something that I think you mentioned, and I think you deserve maybe more attention. And I mean, online you've been pretty open about talking about mental health and stuff like that, right? Which we mentioned a couple of times. And I think that even when you were talking before, you were like, "Oh, I know nothing about this. It's all small, it's all small." And yeah, maybe it is small, but I think that the impact it had on people is not small. And I think that this is a big difference, to make. And you've been very open specifically about imposter syndrome. As an expert on imposter syndrome, as you always say, do you want to talk a bit about that? What makes you feel an imposter? Or what do you feel an imposter about?
Ugh. I mean, have you seen me freak out about taxes and shit?
Well, I mean, you're technically not an imposter because you didn't study to be an accountant, so I guess. But
I know. Yeah, it's okay. So like, I think, okay, so me personally, Anisa, when you think of me, you think of two things. You think of UI, because, that's what I do as a day job, and Limit Break. And I feel like those are the things that I do, but they are also not what I do well. And before anybody comes in with like, no, you're doing great, but like, okay, this is what I mean. Like, I can do UI well. Like, I have a job, I do it, and I love it. I love the craft. It's something that I know that I can do. But I'm also, by the way, an admin for a Discord channel for UI artists all over the world. Like, what this means is that I am constantly exposed by the best of the best in the whole goddamn world, right? And I'm just like, holy fucking shit, these guys know what they're doing. Like, every time I open up a video game, I'm just like, oh my god, how did they do this? That's genius. Wow, this is pretty. Like that feeling. Like, I know for a fact that I am not technically the best UI person, but I built such a huge brand around it that I feel a bit like a fraud in that front. Even with Limit Break, I know
he has a
so
lovely
many...
logo. The logo is amazing.
Thank you. That's my work. Yeah. But like, even with Limit Break, there's so many times when I just don't think maybe I shouldn't be the person who started this organization. Like, I knew this was meant to happen, as in, like, I've seen other mentorship programs popping up, and that's great. And I see the people who are running it, and I just feel like, wow, you're so organized, and you are so like, you do newsletters, you do meetings, you do, like S, Y, and Z, and these are people in like everywhere around the world as well, not just the UK. And I feel like, and I also like, to that point, sorry, I also know that a lot of people in the industry don't like me as a person. And that's fair. Like, I don't think people should like me. But like, that also contributes to the whole, like, I'm not amazing. I shouldn't be the person. I shouldn't be the face of this or that or whatever. And whenever I see someone else who wins an award for an initiative, 100% I'm just like, yes, they deserve it. Like, they're doing great, And I think about myself, I'm just like, should I really still be should I still continue doing Limit Break? Again, I know it's imposter syndrome because people have been nice as well. But yeah, it's just one of those things where I'm just like, I'm generally not the best person, technically or personality wise or whatever wise. This could also be depression symptoms, which I've also been quite open about before. Well, like, yes, I do suffer from depression. I'm not on any medication at the moment, but I used to be. It's one of those, we're still working out, and like, all of this, like, I'm still trying to function as a human, like fully functional person, where like every day you're trying to like don't think of the bad thoughts and battling imposter syndrome, because again, being on Twitter makes me quite visible as well, and I do get a lot of people asking me to do like talks and conferences and roundtables or things like that, and sometimes I say no because I just feel like I just shouldn't be doing it. Sometimes I say yes because I shouldn't be doing it. I don't know. It's like, it's kind of weird. Like, it fucks me up in the head as well. And even and talking about like meeting your idols, I'm not saying I'm anybody's idols. I hope not. God, do not idolize me. That's the worst thing anyone could do. But like, if there has been multiple times by now that I was stopped on the street by somebody like, hey, I follow you on Twitter. And I'm like, oh, I am sorry, but I apologize for the shit post and all my like artisanal shit posts that I put up. It's like, so it's kind of like, and also like I've mentioned I've had 2020 has been a rough year. That also comes from like professionally at work. If I ever do like a mistake or like I'm underperforming at work, people at work might see me like, why are you not doing your work, that kind of thing. And then people on Twitter will be like, wow, you're amazing. So that like there's this like imbalance of perception that really, again, fucks me up in the head, where I'm just like, oh my God, I don't know what I am. Like maybe I'm just shit and I'm just a fraud. I'm just lying to people, I've had like I've had partners who would call me vain for putting up so many selfies on Instagram or something, when I thought like, well, I have really shit self-confidence, so like the selfie thing helps me, right? And then I've had other partners, previous partners, who would say stuff like, "Oh, you're so fake when you're doing, these shows. Like you're usually so fucking miserable all the time. But then when you're in front of the camera, suddenly you're funny and like personable. And I'm just like, yeah, but what, you want me to be miserable in front of everybody? Again, like just the juxtaposition of like this and that, and it just really fucks you up. And we were talking about imposter syndrome, weren't we? Yeah. It's just like, I think that is a major conflict. And someone DM'd me recently asking, hey, Anissa, as a person with a sizable following online, how do you deal with imposter syndrome? And I was like, I don't know. I don't.
I don't have many followers.
Like, I just don't deal with it at all. It's tough. It's really tough.
It is very tough. I suffer from that as well, quite a lot, I have to say.
Like, how do you deal with it?
I don't.
See,
very badly,
nobody does.
very badly. No, I think what you mentioned that I often have is that social media is the absolute worst. I don't think we were biologically designed to compare ourselves with so many different people in such a way. And for me, what I mention often on the show is that I see a lot of other folks that are doing exceptionally well, for example, with shaders, and I often mention, Joyce from Minions Art or Freya, and they do something very similar to me, but also even people I had on the show, like Adam. And or Harry, for example, Harry Elisavakis, and I see that they make amazing stuff, and it's like, oh, but why did I make that? So it's either I could have made that if I could have made that, so I'm like, oh, I should work more, or it's like I can't make that, like maybe Minions Art stuff, for example, and I'm like, oh, then it means I can't make that. There are tiny things that only forces me to see the negative. For example, my Patreon has always been going up, which is really good, right? But wait before clapping. I'm also receiving monthly stats on my Patreon, and in terms of creators, I'm going down. I've always been going down. So my money goes up, but not as fast as the average creators, which means that I'm going up very slowly, and I used to be in the top 100 creators on Patreon. Now I'm like 350th. I'm like, no, there is not even a category for that. So there is this difference where a lot of people maybe would like to be in my position, but I like to be in the position of other people that are above me, and this never ends because you always look up for other people, otherwise you get stuck in your position, right?
There's always a higher number to reach, yeah.
I have sometimes this maybe sounds quite rude and unconsiderate, I guess, but I have friends that works in the game industry, and I have friends that don't work in the game industry, but they do something, like maybe they cashiers or kitchen porters, stuff like that. And sometimes I'm very envious sometimes of that position, because I'm very envious of people that have a 9-to-5 job that they can go home and stop working
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Like switch off.
I never stop. I never had a holiday in my life. I don't stop working. Because when I stop working, I do some other work like this or something else. As soon as I stop these, I will start editing videos for class. So I will never stop working.
Yeah.
And it's not how I'm wired, and maybe it's because I don't feel I don't feel enough. So I feel that if I stop working for every reason, there is this guilt that builds up and eats me up. And I know that many people have it. I know that it's a problem. And I know that many things I've achieved in my life, I've achieved them because of a problem. that, you know, and really, it's really annoying because on one side, I'm happy for the things I have, but on one side, I know that a lot of my drive comes from a problem, and it happens often with, maybe I'm saying something a bit outside the context, but a lot of the time, a lot of people that have um, eating disorders, and that those eating disorder are actually what, in a way, keeps them in good shape, and you have those people saying,
Mm.
"Oh, I really love your, you're really slim," and it's like, but actually they don't know what it's like, and I think that it's something very similar, that there is this constant struggle,
Yeah.
that the peoples are, and in a way, sometimes I wish I could be happier of the thing that I achieved, so that I could stop achieving things and enjoying the things I have.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty clear that's not going to happen. And this probably, Anissa, let's be honest, this is killing us. This is probably, we won't reach 60 if we keep.
I keep telling people this. On the inside, I'm actually a 65-year-old lady. I'm old, I'm tired, like I don't give a shit. No, you're right, completely right. It's like a moving goalpost. Like, I just, I think a lot of people have had this kind of conversation where, um, even with one of my mentors that I spoke to, she's amazing. She's one of the top like legit most famous women in video games. She asked me a question once where I was really surprised. She was like, Anissa, like, do you have like a job that you kind of imagine yourself doing, where it's like a mindlessly nothing job? And I was like, what do you mean? Mind you, again, she's like the director of this massive company, and makes like one of the most well-known games. And she's just like, sometimes I think about just being a taxi driver, you know? And I was just like,
I don't even have a driving license. It's not helping.
she was just like, yeah, just taxi driver. It's like it's a nothing job. You just do it, and then you just don't think about much. And I was like, oh shit, what do I want to do? And I guess like I daydream about. I actually, it's funny. I don't actually read that many books, but I daydream about opening a bookshop. And again, it's like one of those things where just like, you leave, you open your bookshop, you do the thing, you say hi to some people, thank you for buying my books, and then close shop, and then that's it. Closed. It's at a door. Like that's it.
Oh
And
no, you will have to pay taxes as well.
no, taxes and death are the only sure things, aren't they? God.
So
And that's fine. Just do stuff.
what's really interesting, that I've recently started playing Minecraft, which I might have mentioned 15 times in this show already. Um, I think the Minecraft is the window to the soul. Be- because wait, Anissa, wait, please. Because
Nobody make a gif of that face, please. But I'm like,
I think Mitch was saying Anissa's reaction to wait to clap. So I think there will be so many gifs made out of this stream, because I think the way you play open-ended games sometimes reveals so much about yourself. And I think I do two things in Minecraft. One is that I only go up. I basically build tunnels, and I go up just to build glass houses, and then I build down to build the other one, which is really how I live my life. Basically underground and never going out. But also, I sort of make this sort of like mini village, and I was like, oh, let me live in this village forever. Let me do nothing, just going around, and making bread and throwing bread to people and just going to bed, before midnight.
Yeah.
And I think it was this sort of bucolic, relaxing thing that, that was so like, for like, 2 hours you forget about taxes and, uh, and stuff like that. So
What if you don't play open-ended games? Then what kind of person are you?
I only play games that are Turing complete. I'm sorry.
I never play incomplete games. I only play games that has an ending. Because, like, fuck me, I'm not playing a game where it's like roam around for 25 hours. I'm like, no, I don't have 25 fucking hours.
No,
She
no, no.
says playing
It's
Persona
true.
for 130 hours.
It's true. It's true. Sometimes I just want something niche. Actually, I posted a list of video games that I really enjoyed. They were quite relaxing, and
Mm.
I think it went sort of viral. I can see it's probably around 2,000 retweets or something.
Ooh.
Um, so I was like, okay. So I think there's a need for short, small experiences that you can play in one go.
Oh, really quick. I did a tweet where I was like in all caps being on like short games. I'm old and I have no free time. Short games. And somebody actually screenshot that tweet and put it in like as a pitch for like a game that they want to make. I was like,
Yes. Yes. I mean, come
yeah,
on. We're old. We don't have time for these, right?
I don't have time for shit.
So
No.
we have a few messages. I think that when we start talking about imposter syndrome, the messages started floating. So we have Harry Alisavakis, which is actually watching. Hello, Harry.
Hello,
Saying
Harry.
I had a conversation with a friend on that subject. We were talking about imposter syndrome, where he told me he preferred just a job he doesn't care about, only to have the means to spend his free time with friends, etc. Yes, and I told him, oh, then I guess you're receiving enough love in your life, so you don't directly associate your value as a person with the work you can produce.
Oi!
Ah!
Oi! Straight to the
Ah!
heart. Ugh. You think,
Straight,
okay,
straight to the
Eric,
heart.
here's the thing. Like, I get it. Like, if you have so much love from everywhere else, you don't look for the validation in your job. And I have love. I know for a fact my family loves me, my friends love me. I know this, but that's the thing with mental health. It's like telling someone with asthma, there's so much air. Why can't you breathe? You know? Like the thing with depression symptoms or anything like that is that you know there's so much love, but it's just not reaching you quite deep enough, and you're constantly searching for it. You search for validation elsewhere, and like I know so many people were like, "Oh, Anisa, haha, bet you can't live without Twitter for a bit." And I'm just like, "Bitch, I would love to not live without Twitter if that's possible. Like legit I would." But like, it's the only way I get opportunities these days, and like my dream is to release something of my own. And unfortunately, Twitter is one way to spread the word, right? And it's like that's the thing. Like at this age, I'm still learning how do I receive that love and keep it and lock it deep inside my heart and be like and tell myself, I'm worthy of love. I'm worthy of your time. I'm worthy of all these things. So therefore, I don't need to keep looking for it, you know. And it's difficult. Like I think that's the thing that I am envious of other people for. Not that they have a job that they don't care about, or that they can just leave at the door. Like I love people who have jobs that they're like, like super passionate about their jobs and stuff like that. But it's just that the fact that they can be content. Again, the contentment. Like I'm happy with the amount of love I have. I'm happy with the amount of validation I get from my job. I'm happy. I'm content with X, Y, and Z. Like teach me how to do that. Goddamn. Well, don't worry, guys. I'm in therapy. It's fine. But like, it's a lifelong struggle. I'm still looking for it.
So we have a message from Sally Blake saying something that has helped me was trying to change my inner monologue by pretending I'm talking to a friend, which it actually works. It actually works. Uh, because you wouldn't say, mate, you crap, useless, anything, etc. to your
Um,
friend. So framing it
you
that
should
way,
ask my friends. I call them, oh, you fucking bitch.
you should ask Fede. um, the way you can stop saying it about yourself. Actually, something you mentioned before about I'm you're so fake on social media. Um, it's very interesting because we are all fake on a degree. Like
It's a
I
persona
I'm
that you put up.
Yeah, exactly. Like AlanZucconi.com is a persona that is not Alan Zucconi, and Alan Zucconi is many different people depending on who is talking to. I remember this. I said I'm always recording my lectures, and I sent one of my lectures to a friend, and he was like, "Alan, that's not your voice. That's not you." And I was like, "Of course, it's not me. That is because I'm not teaching to you. That is
Yeah,
that
yeah,
is my teaching voice. That is my
yeah.
teaching voice." No, it's not. It's not that one.
That is my teaching voice. What are you talking about? I always sound like this.
And when we had the
Yeah,
rehearsal, we weren't like these.
yeah.
We
Like, why would I talk like this to you if I'm in comfortable mode or if I'm in, whatever mode? It's like, yeah. So I've had this happen before where, again, I've spoken about some other people kind of pointing it out, and some other people are like, we were like, oh my God, Anisa, you're just putting it on, like you're putting it on. And I'm like, yeah, that's the whole fucking point, mate.
Yeah, I think that it's the old, like, of course, social media. We only post things that we want to post, and often it's building, especially if you're a business attached, it's building a career around it, right? So I often delete stuff that I don't think represents me anymore, which a lot of it. I'm often very careful to tweet stuff that gives a certain image of me because that's the image I want to project. And in the same way, if you go to
I've
work.
been reading so much bullshit things the last few days.
No, I mean it's true, but like if you go to work, you go to work with a suit and tie. I mean, if you do, it's a terrible place to work.
Mm,
but but you don't work in your fucking pajama, right? And
yeah.
so does it mean that it's not you? Not necessarily. And I think that social media is very tricky because you build a sort of cult of person around your social media, and especially for someone like you that you're so visible, it is tricky. It is very tricky. um, uh, a lot of people say, "Oh, social media is not real life." It is real life. It's a part of real life, and it's connected to real
It's
life.
a it's a it's like a tiny slice of you.
Yeah.
We keep saying this, isn't it? Like, the personas that we put up online, it's a small part of you. It's the part of it you want to convey. Clearly, in my case, is that I'm a horny bastard. Um, but like, so okay, so that's the thing. Some people think I'm funnier on Twitter than I'm in real life. My housemate, he thinks I'm way funnier in real life than I am on Twitter. Some people think I'm annoying on Twitter. Some people think I'm annoying in real life. I'm just like, well, that's the thing. Like, it's small slithers of me that is different at different times, and that's okay, you know. Like, the public don't deserve all of me. I want to keep some of that to like my close friends, to my close family, to the people that I love. Um,
Also, like, the internet is so easy to. I think something we were mentioning the other day was that I think you said something really interesting about the fact that you need the right space to be vulnerable, and if you post maybe the wrong picture, people will say, "Oh, Anissa, you're fat," or or something like that. Or the messages. Sometimes I'm thinking, "Oh my God, I'm chatting," and Fede can probably confirm that. Is in the chat. The things we say in our private, Telegram channel thing, group chat.
yeah,
I'm like, if that channel goes out, Jesus
yeah.
Christ, Jesus fucking Christ, because it's if you believe that what you see on social media is 100% what people are, well, it's very tricky, and it's not. It's, of course, it's not. So it's really tricky when people have the realization that people are multifaceted, for good and for bad, and this is why also, you know, we
So
shouldn't
this
focus
is
on a single thing.
this is why I think Twitter should definitely have a function where you have like a timed tweet. And I'm not talking about a scheduled tweet where like, tweet this at 10 a.m. No, I mean like I want to tweet this thing, but it's only up for 30 seconds or it's only up for 1 hour because you know what? After 1 hour, I don't give a shit about that anymore. Like like that was a passing thought. Doesn't have to be on the internet forever. This is also probably why I like Instagram stories way more because they delete every day. So like, it's like a snapshot of your day, of your current feeling. Do you have it do you need to put it up? Like, it doesn't need to be up all the time. No, that's where like the main feed is for, in your Instagram pictures, it's like, oh, this is like a milestone. I want this to be up. This signify like, this is my family. This is the food that I ate. It's great. But like, if it's like bullshit things like, look at the stupid duck I found. That doesn't need to be fucking up, The same with tweets. Like, I fully agree with the fact that like, if you want to delete your tweet, if you don't want to delete your entire Twitter, if you want to come back, do what you want. It's your platform. Do it,
It's I think it's so tricky because especially like if you go back to someone's tweet history, you always find something controversial, and I'm definitely guilty of that.
Oh my god!
For many reasons.
I know for a
many
fact
reasons,
somebody's gonna dig up my shit.
Also because it's very easy to decontextualize stuff on Twitter when you don't see the full picture of what people were tweeting at the same time. Often you subtweet. I mean, try not to subtweet, but often you do stuff that has no context. You cannot see threads very often.
I subtweet all the time.
Oh god, no, I'm rarely, very rarely.
I like to subtweet because I want to criticize an idea, not the person, like, because sometimes even the people that I like have ideas that I don't agree with, and I just want to make a point. I'm like, look, I like you, but I don't agree with this certain thinking, and I want to talk about this thinking without tagging that person in,
It's very tricky. Also because people, I think, we need to allow people to change their mind. Otherwise, it means that if people are like piece of marble and you can't change their mind, then kill them. Like there's no you make them into the enemy. Instead, if we want to improve, we need to allow people to change their mind, which means that even politicians, for good and bad, they might have takes that are changing. The difference is that if then they keep up, it's not just like a performative act, but it's they actually change their mind, and it's reflected in the policies they vote for and they push for. I think that makes the actual difference. But I have changed my mind on so many things. Like, I grew up in Italy in the 80s, 90s, let's go with that, 80s, 90s, from a family that wasn't the most, politically advanced, or progressive, let's go with that. So my views have changed massively, and my understanding of certain dynamics has changed massively, and definitely it will change. I hope it will change, and it will still change. So
you know what that is? That's growth.
Yeah, exactly. So of course, even if you go back to old games I made when I was a kid, or maybe old things I could have tweeted before Twitter existed, oh my god, the file, and it's okay. And I think especially young kids, they need the privilege and the rights to have their tweet feed deleted or their TikTok deleted, because it would haunt them otherwise. And I'm glad that some things I said, they're not there to haunt me, because I grew out of them. But we need people to be able to grow in a space where they can fail safely, and this often means having ideas that needs to be changed. Because I think the narrative I'm not happy about is that, oh, there's good people and bad people. No, there's people that understand certain dynamics because they've been exposed to them. And I think that especially with stuff, for example, we're mentioning about trans rights. Trans rights are very complicated to understand. It's a very complicated issue that is constantly evolving. Even the language that we use maybe 20 years ago, it wouldn't be right now, because we understand it much better, how complex the topic is. Even feminism has changed, how many ways we have and how many we still have. So we need to allow people to be able to say something wrong and not killing them online, because I think it's important to differentiate between you don't know those things and it's a genuine mistake, but you're willing to learn, compared to you know how things are, but you want them not to be better. You want to keep making certain mistakes because there's a belief behind it, which is different. And I think that we need to allow that flexibility. This is off the rail. We were talking about something completely different, but
no, it's true. No.
I know.
Like I said, it's about growth, right? Like, you do learn from what you the me from 5 years ago is very, very different from the me now, as anybody would say, right? Like, if I bet you there will be a tweet someone will dig up on me from like 2008 or some whatever year it is I started Twitter, and it will be the death of me. But yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't like that. The whole digging up old tweets just to be like, oh, look, he said some shit thing a long time ago. You know, it's like, yeah, they did. But what have they done since? Have they changed? Have they improved on it? Like, you know, is there a point to this? What is the point? And also, like, I just don't like people being mean. Like, so just be nice. It's not so hard.
We have shown saying that gets a bit spooky once you enter the realm of politicians on Twitter. It's not spooky. It's absolutely terrifying. It's totally terrifying. The idea of time tweet, that is being able to spread misinformation and later claim you didn't, and there not being a record, etc. Though, guess you could still show a tweet existed in the same way they got deleted now. Let's just all agree to never tweet again. To be fair, I think Twitter and stuff like that is obviously a tool of misinformation. It's designed to be a tool of misinformation because 160 characters, what could go wrong? You know, everything that is true, it's multifaceted. Yep. And needs more than 180 characters. If you can, there's no truth you can put in 180 characters. I'm sorry. I think this. I really believe that, and this is why it's easy to lie in 180. I keep changing the number in 160 characters.
Some kind of number.
Because like simple things are obviously not representative of the reality. If you want to make an argument and it fits in a tweet, it's probably incomplete. If you want to debunk something, you probably need 50 million tweets, right? Yeah. So what could go wrong? You know, politicians discussing complex stuff in a limited amount of time. What could go wrong?
Yeah. People, I think I fell into that trap once before. I think I linked a pie chart or a graph or something, and I needed to get my point across in like 2 lines and get kind of like squishing what should have been at least 4 or 5 tweets into like 1 line was so bad. I just got so many like quote tweets and blah blah being like, why are you lying? The graph doesn't say that, blah blah blah. I'm just like, no, I mean, and I was like, that's when I did delete that tweet because I'm just like, okay, this is giving more harm than what it's worth. And to the point with like the whole politician thing, like if you said something shit and then, you know, it just deletes itself. I think it's better off delete it if it's shit anyway. You know, if it is spreading misinformation, then yay, it's gone now. Good. But I think overall, definitely just don't tweet ever.
Oh no, then I see people with more followers than me. No.
And the cycle continues.
Oh god, it's an endless pain, and I don't know. I feel it's so hard to see things going down so rapidly. And knowing that probably in my lifetime I will not see them going up beyond this point.
I always tell people don't look at the numbers. You really shouldn't. And I know I'm being a hypocrite. I look at my number as well because, like, again, number goes up means good, you know. It's a fucking Skinner box thing, isn't it? Like, you're just like, come on, more number, more up. Like, that's the whole idea of idle games, after all. Like, social media is just a very, very long idle game. Just, you know, tweet more, get more followers, tweet more, get more followers. But it's an endless cycle, and it's really bad. And like, so there was this other talk, a panel of like 4 very successful women in film, TV, comic books. And I loved it. Like, it was like as if I was they thought about Anissa, what would Anissa like to see in a panel? And they just got like the best people in it. And I sat down, and one of the things that I mentioned was social media and how important social media played in the success of each of them, right? And I just want to say, like, sometimes it's less about the social media itself because it is just a platform. Like, you could be really big on Facebook, or you could really be big on Reddit or Instagram or TikTok or whatever. It's just a platform, right? But I think the thing that sets them apart from literally everybody else, I would say, is that they had like the perfect combination of different things. And this combination is, to me, skill. Like they're very good at what they do. Personality, they're very personable and we like them. And what's the word? Genuine. They're very genuine and they're not afraid to show vulnerability, but at the same time, they, again, what you said before, growth. Like you can see, the longer you follow them, you can see their progress as a person, not just in their career. Like, people who keep getting reaching more, like, oh, we've released this thing, or I'm doing this project, or I got this award, blah blah blah. But like on top of that, you also see a personality growth where they're like, oh, they said something bad, and then after a while they'll be like, I want to address this bad thing I did or said, I apologize, I'm learning. And I was like, oh, cool. They're not afraid to apologize. They're funny. They say bullshit things, It's like, so all these things is why they have a big following, right? It's just like thunder in a bottle, I would say. Is it? I don't know. That's not the right.
So I think the question is, where's social media a mistake?
Yeah. Yeah. It's annoying because like I said, I owe quite a lot of my success because of Twitter, because that's how I'm reaching. I have a lot of reach. I swear, the only reason Limit Break exists is because of Twitter, because that's the only platform that I actively, what do you call that, like advertise in. Like I don't post it on Reddit. I don't really post it around, like Facebook is quite close. Like it's only me and my some friends. So like where else are you gonna advertise? Stuff like that. So it's like it's a double-edged sword. Like it's the best and worst thing at the same time.
So
Like
Mitch
me.
is what? Like what?
Like me, I'm the best and the worst at the same time.
Mitch is saying my tweets from 2008 were so boring. I'm standing in a parking lot. Like Mitch, that sounds like you're trying to build a alibi.
Yeah,
What
I'm sorry, that's
what
very
what have you done
controversial.
in 2008?
Mhm. That's not like an alibi. Where's the body, Mitch? Where's the body?
What's the body? Yeah, that can be quite problematic, and um, I don't know. I think it's also very tricky because often on social media, if um, if you're being vulnerable, you get attacked or you lose professional opportunities. So, for
Yes.
example, if you not if you talk about mental health as in, oh, I'm being an advocate, now everybody loves that. But if you have a mental breakdown on Twitter, which maybe happens every now and then, or if you show yourself in a certain way, then people can use that against you, even professionally. So in a way, I don't feel Twitter for me is a place where I'm safe. I feel it's a place where I need to be very calculated. But first of all, because it's professional for me, I stopped using any social media for personal use. I only use stuff professionally. I only talked about professional stuff. Enough of my life. It's not interesting in any way. I don't do anything beside coding. But I can see, especially for many women, it could be a space of that is not necessarily safe. And something I've been discussing with a lot of women, not on the show, but in general, like a lot of friends of mine, they often said that the amount of like dick pics they receive, and to be fair, nobody's ever sent me a dick pic on Twitter.
Do you want me to send you a dick pic? Like I'll
You're
show you
welcome
mine.
to. I mean, it doesn't affect me, so I mean, it's not. People don't want to send me. You can send them. I'm not offended. I'm flattered, I guess, but I can see that it's a different dynamic. It's a different dynamic, and I can see how a lot of people don't want to show themselves because they're worried about wanted attention that they can draw. Um, and yes, some people would say, "Oh, I love them wanted attention," and I could say that as well. But I think it's a different dynamic. It's a different power dynamic. Messages you can get. So it is very tricky. It is very very tricky. So of course, the stuff you see on social media is not is not 100% you, because it's not a safe space to be for a lot of people,
Yes.
professionally
So
or personally.
I mean, that's why there's different kinds of social media, right? So I would say Twitter is very, very extremely public. So what you want to show off to the public is you have to be careful of that for sure, definitely. Don't share too much personal information. But let's say, okay, mental health, advocacy for it, being all like you should take care of yourself, self-care, blah blah blah. I mean, sure, talk about that on Twitter as much as you want. Having a mental breakdown, that's where stuff like on Instagram there's the stories where it deletes itself, and also close friends only stories,
Yeah.
because when you're having like such a public way of showing that I'm having a shit time, I'm feeling but shit, where should we call in a ambulance, stuff like that, it's fine. Like, you know what, it's a release, do what you have to, right? But like I do that quite a lot in my Instagram close friend only stories. If I'm having a shit day, or like, because like, you know what, sometimes I feel like saying it to the void or to somebody, but it doesn't have to be public. And the people in my close friends, again, they're my close friends. Like, I know them personally, they get to see it, and it's my way of being vulnerable with them. Like, and in a way, that's also great because like we don't pick up the phone and talk to people like one on one as much as we used to, or we don't ever anyway. But we do check in social media and we get these bits and pieces of people's life, and that's how we stay connected to the person, And like I've had that where like when I do end up, say, meeting or calling up a friend, they'll be like, yeah, so I saw your story about that thing. How are you feeling? Like, do you feel better since then? And I'm just like, oh, yeah.
I
It was a
guess.
shit week, but like, I'm better now because I'm seeing you. I'm like, oh, you. I'm like, oh, you.
It was a
You.
shitty year.
2020, eh? So yeah, no,
It's
I
getting
agree.
worse, don't
Like,
worry.
I think as a person who used to have mental breakdowns on Twitter, like I've learned to kind of, I still do it, but in a more private, safe space with people that I trust. Yeah.
I love how you say, as a person I used to have mental breakdown on Twitter, so it's not specifically on Twitter, so in real life, then it's a different story,
I've had so much breakdowns in real life too, but let's not get into that because then I'm exposing
Oh,
myself
God.
even more.
So I was talking the other day with one of my colleagues, and like everything is going remote. Well, not really, but a lot of stuff is going remote where I'm working, and these has created a lot of issues and problems, and people are going crazy. I'm one of those that is going crazy, right? Because I want to get stuff right on the first try. I don't want to fuck it up, especially if students are affected. So I want it to be right for the first trial, for fuck's sake. It should be, because students are paying. It doesn't always happen like that, and
Yeah.
often it's nobody's fault. Sometimes it's someone's fault, but often there's no malice. And I remember I had like a mini breakdown at work. I mean, from home, but work related. And one of the colleagues was like, Alan, like you had we talked about this like last month. And I was like, yes, but like, stuff keeps getting bad, and I keep having breakdowns on these. And he was like, Alan, let's do only 3 breakdowns per term. And I was like, that's 12 breakdowns a year. So like, it's once a month. Are you ready for this?
Women just call that period. Oh my god.
I think there will be so many gifs out of this video that will haunt us forever. So that,
Oh my
that,
god.
that is problematic in itself.
I know, right?
But-
See, this is why I keep telling myself I shouldn't be the person who runs mentorship programs for women. I'm the worst. Oh my god.
But no, yeah, I think that caring about stuff will put your mental health in a bad state. To go back to what we were saying before.
Yep.
But there's water everywhere, Anissa. There's
I know.
water.
Like
flecking
you can
everywhere.
actually see it on the video. Like actual water is like.
I hope the keyboard still works.
Well, send me a message later. We'll see.
I will send you the invoice if the keyboard doesn't work.
Just wait for my sponsor money to come in, which will be never because I don't do my fucking taxes.
No, please don't talk about taxes. I'm triggered by that. I'm not even kidding. I'm not even kidding. But beside that, so let's try. I don't even know what we were. I don't even know what the theme of this entire thing was.
I don't know.
But so, are you working on anything cool right now? Are you doing anything cool right now?
So obviously the game that I'm working on is still in progress. We're not going to be announcing it anytime soon, so it's NDA. But I can say it is on the PC platform and one of those consoles.
One of them. Mysterious.
One of the new ones. It could be the XS5 or 3.6. I don't know. Like new consoles. Yeah, it'll be very interesting. And the team I'm working on with, they're currently fully remote. They've been remote for like 5 years, so it's a whole different it's a different vibe. But I really like it. I like the game. I can't.
Oh, hello. Hello. I think we had a small connection issue. Are you back?
Am I still around?
Are you back, Anissa?
I don't know.
I think you disappeared for like 10 seconds.
Hi, am I still here?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm talking.
Yes.
Oh shit, yeah. I can see myself like just freeze for like oh my god. I froze at a really bad frame. Right, I'm just seeing it right. Okay, to those that is listening, I was just looking at it on the YouTube channel. I'm like, oh, that was bad. Anyway, yeah. Game's coming out soon. By soon, I mean like in 2 years time.
Well, I mean, we can say soon because 2020 will be removed from history, and maybe even 2021. So.
Yeah. I think next year will be the actual 2020.
Oh my god, too much. So, Anissa, we've been chatting for basically almost 2 hours, and we still have some people watching, which I think it's really good. So, of course, if you want, you're more than welcome to ask some. Oh, I never get the direction right. You're more than welcome to ask some question in the chat, and maybe we can answer it. But while you come up with ideas, Anissa, there is a question that I always ask every guest that is on the show. I don't know how relevant it is for you, but I'm going to ask you anyway. How many versions of Unity do you have installed on your machine?
Why?
Yes, the right answer.
Because I just got a new computer and I had to like delete everything, so I got a fresh one install only, but it might just be like for now.
It has happened sometimes that some guests said, "Oh, Alan, I had to install 7 because you asked me to show video of my stuff," and I felt so guilty. I'm glad that I didn't cause any
Oh my god.
any massive drama. So Sean, on top of saying that we shouldn't joke about taxes because yes, it's people that have a company knows about this. It says, I can say we've experienced and certainly that there are no good freeze frames.
Can I just say it's really interesting seeing Sean is in the chat right now, because like I have him on Steam and I can see him starting up a goddamn Star Wars game. I'm like, are you listening to me, watching me, or are you playing Star Wars? Choose one, Sean.
So I think that sometimes people watch these as a podcast.
Like background noise.
So they just...
How dare you relegate me as background noise, Sean?
Yeah. I think there are a few that you can't watch in the background. For example, the one with Harry has a lot of good stuff to watch. The one with Adam has a lot of good... The one with Tom has a lot of good stuff to watch. I mean, we're good to watch, I guess.
I'm sorry, but like my face is really good to watch. How dare you? How dare you, Alan?
But I think we don't have our weekly dose of shitty goodness this time. I'm sorry about that. I'm so sorry for the people watching. We don't have shaders this time. So, please forgive us. Please forgive us.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could show a lot more of my video games that I've worked on, but my most recent one has been quite a long time ago, and I've just recently switched jobs, and the current one is not releasing for another few years, so I just don't have much to show in terms of like my work. So you'll just have to believe me when I say I do UI. I actually do work. I just don't show anyone anything. I'm sorry.
And as I said, in 1 year we still have to do the episode about taxation, and stuff like that. when you have all the things sorted out. So we can show that maybe next year.
Yeah, call me for episode 136.
Oh God. It's once a week, Anissa. And trust me,
Sorry.
I'm already like on the edge.
Your face was just like, oh no, no.
I've done like 27 and I'm already on the edge. And Harry's like, oh no, shaders. I know. It was a mistake. So if people want to find you, where they can find you?
So my Twitter handle, which by the way, follow me because I want to see that number go up. Healthy, right? Is at Studio Anisa, and Limit Break is LB Mentorship, or you can find us at our website, which is, what is our website?
Limit Break.
Limitbreak.co.uk.
Yeah. I had it open.
Yes, I'm on there. Twitter is usually the best way to contact me. Although Twitter has recently kind of changed some things, so I don't see all of the mentions. Like you might mention me in something, and if I don't see it, it's because sometimes I just don't see shit in my notifications. I don't know, but yeah. But sometimes though, I just don't care. So
maybe it's better like
one
that.
or the other.
Probably better like that. Now, Anissa, I think we had a lovely chat. So thank you so much for joining.
I'm sorry,
me.
but making you spit your water is the best part. So
I promise I won't cut that out. And for the people watching, stick around because I'm showing some meat after that. But Anissa, thank you so much. As always, you're very welcome to join here every time you want, whether it's for your game or for any new projects that you might be working on. So you're always welcome.
Nice. All right. I'll see you later then.
So thank you so much. Talk you later.
Hi, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you for watching. Bye.
So for the people that are still watching, for so many times, for so many weeks, I've been teasing you about something, and that something was the video about Conway's Game of Life. Now, if you're not aware, this is a game from a long time ago that exactly this month is celebrating its 50th anniversary from its original publication in Scientific American. So because of that, I decided to sort of, if you want, pay homage or write a love letter to this game in the form of a short documentary that you can see here in the background. And on this short documentary, I'm basically showing how you can use this game to build a computer. Which you can actually do. And I also talk about a few other things, including Turing completeness and Turing completeness in other game, for example, Minecraft or Baba Is You, which, really, really good stuff. And making this video was quite a journey because there are a lot of sections and it's very heavily edited. So it took a really long time to make. And I try to pay homage to a lot of things that people that have played this game for a long time I've seen. For example, there's a lot of original document that I animated, and I hate Premiere. So, so please like this video. But if you want it, it's on the channel. It's called Let's Build a Computer in Life, and it premiered this Monday. So thank you so much for the people that have been watching that. It's been a journey. Now it's finally out, so you can watch it after me complaining about this video not being done for such a long time. And also, if you're interested, all the people that have been supporting me on Patreon since this video was in development are actually at the end of the video in the credit section. And it took a long time to get this look right. So if you're one of them, by all means, please go watch the video. You might find your name. Well, you will find your name because I got all of them. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. Now, with that being said, I also wanted to spend some time to thank all the people that have been following me on Patreon this week. If you don't know, I have a Patreon account we might have mentioned during the show, where I post stuff related to game development, shader coding, artificial intelligence, inverse kinematics. Most of this stuff is free. Sometimes the Unity package are available on Patreon, and on Patreon you can get stuff in advance. So if that's something you're interested in, if those are topics you're interested, by all means, please feel free to have a look at that and join. Now, the people who were joined this week, thank you so much to Ekin Noctu, thank you so much to Anthony Massingham, Nordic7, Yamanki Santander Cruz, Shay Nielsen, and JB Gore. Thank you so much for joining. I hope that you're enjoying the content and you will enjoy the content that is coming next. So yeah, there's quite a few things coming out as well on Patreon, but because the new term at the college started, things are a bit. Give me a break. I'm a little bit on fire between the show, Patreon, and the college. It's quite a stressful period, so please bear with me while I go in self-combustion from too much work. But in the meantime, something that can really help the channel is, if you're not subscribed and you enjoy this video, please, by all means, feel free to subscribe, feel free to like it. All the YouTubers say that, but I think it really helps as well, being able to have the video circulating a bit more. The YouTube algorithm is evil, so we should show it that the video is good if you really like it. In the meantime, you can see some more people, the name of some more people that have been supporting me on Patreon that are at the end of the video. What can I say? It's really awesome being able to do this. To be fair, without all the support I've been having from folks on Patreon, this show would not be possible, but most of the tutorials I've done would not be possible. It takes quite a long time to do everything. Now, with that being said, I want to thank everyone that have been here on the show tonight or today, depending on where you're watching. And if I'm still alive and I haven't burned by the amount of work, I really hope to see you next week as well. Bye.